Hey everybody. Um, I wanted to make this video uh, for a couple of reasons. Namely, though, because 1 year ago today, uh, my good buddy Grant called me up out of the blue to see how I was doing, and through a series of conversations, uh, was instrumental in the formation of what we now call Revelation Rain. And secondly, I'm trying to keep new content on our YouTube channel. I'm trying to keep that consistent and timely, just so that there's new content up there for everybody to see and to watch. It helps to drive uh, viewers to the channel, the more new content that you have. Um, and I appreciate that people have been watching these crazy videos I've been putting up, mostly just finding old pictures or little video clips of us recording in the studio or whatever, and then putting music underneath of it. And, we get, 10 or 15 or 20 views on those. That's not too bad. I mean, they are what they are. But what we're really appreciative about is the fact that the main videos that we've been putting up, whether it be for our live streams or music videos for songs off our CD, those are doing exceptionally well. Um, I know that the video for Bloody Thumbs has only been up for 2 or 3 weeks, and I think it's at 70 or 80 views. Taste of Tomorrow, which is the first music video that we did, has been up for, I don't know, 3 or 4 months, maybe. Uh, and it's already at close to 250 views. It's not phenomenal. I get that. I understand that a lot of people or bands or whomever uh, get like thousands or millions of views. So, um, relatively speaking, we're doing pretty well. Uh, but anyway, getting back to the first reason why I wanted to make this video, like I said, 1 year ago today, Grant, our phenomenal drummer, called me out of the blue just to see how things were going and to extend the olive branch, which I thought was super considerate and very big on his part. So let me back up a little bit to explain what all of that even means, or why we'd even gotten to that point. Back in early 2019, April of 2019, um, when I say we, I'm talking about a previous band that I was in. Um, we had lost our drummer, and so uh, I was discouraged. But the guy that was playing bass in the band, his name is Josh. I feel comfortable saying his name. Josh is a great guy, great friend, still even to this day. Um, and and I'll get to that in a minute why he's not in this band. But Josh and I were looking for a drummer, and through Josh's brother, who works with Grant, or something like that. It's like this chain link of people that brought us to Grant. Um, so anyway, Josh says to me, "There's a drummer down in Rockford. He wants to try out for the band," which we didn't even have a band. It was two people, but whatever. So I hesitantly decided to go. So Josh and I go down and we try out this drummer, and he's really good. And he's a fellow Kiss fan, which doesn't hurt. So that first rehearsal went well, all things considered. I think we ran through 5 or 6 songs, and they sounded pretty good for the first time getting together and playing them. And what impressed me the most out of all of this is at some point Grant kind of set his sticks down down and said, "Do you have any originals?" And it was like music to my ears because I've been writing originals since I was 14 years old. And I've always wanted to do originals, but you get caught up in this mindset that, well, we have to do covers or nobody will want to see us and no bars will hire us. So we were caught in that trap, so to speak, of doing covers and maybe throwing in a few originals. But the fact that Grant inquired and really pushed, like, hey, I want to hear these, I want to hear your originals. So we played a couple for him and he loved them. If you talk to Grant, uh, he'll always go back to "Vengeance Is Mine." That's probably one of the first songs that I introduced to him, and it's still the song that we close our shows with. It's the closing track on our CD. It's the title of our CD. That song just holds a lot of memory and a lot of emotion for all of us, but I would say especially for Grant. So anyway, we roll through a few originals, and he likes them, and they go well. Anyway, fast forward, we find a guitar player, we get some set lists down, we play a couple of shows, and by November of that same year, 2019, the band sort of dissolved. Never mind my phone. That thing goes off all the time, which is usually a good thing. It's usually either for my sonic boom business or for the band. So it's annoying sometimes, but it's also a beautiful sound. And by the way, speaking of sonic boom, I've noticed that almost every video I do, I'm wearing a sonic boom shirt. I promise you, it's not the same one. I have a lot of these. Some have red, some have blue, some have black. I know they all look similar, but I promise I have more than one shirt. But I'm the type of person, anytime I go out in public or if I'm going to be on film or whatever else, I'm going to wear a Sonic Boom shirt and I need to get a Revelation Rain shirt. We're all about promotion. Anyway, it doesn't matter how or why, I don't want to get into all of that, but the end result was Grant was no longer in the band. Okay? So myself, Josh, and this guitar player decided that we're going to continue and we're going to get a new drummer. So we find a guy who was a nice guy and a good drummer, and we practiced with him a few times, but it got to the point where time constraints just made it nearly impossible for us to rehearse. And that brings me to why Josh is not in this band. It's nothing to do with dispute or personality conflicts or creative differences. Nothing like that. It was simply time constraints. The guy works a lot, and he has a family, and he's in the church band, all of which is commendable. But it obviously didn't leave much time for this band, which made sense. So that band dissolved probably January of 2020. And I just decided at that point that I was done with bands. I didn't want to be in a band anymore. Josh and I had gone through probably 20 different guitarists and a handful of drummers. I was tired of it. People in and out, changing band names. I was just done with it. Now, 3 or 4 years prior to all of this, I had taken my originals into a studio, a professional studio, and recorded them. So I had professional recordings of probably 6 or 7 of my original songs. So I decided at this point, once the band was done, and I was done with bands, that I would just put my music up, on Bandmix and just see what happens. And the response was overwhelmingly positive. My numbers kept going up. The feedback I was getting was very positive, and I thought, boy, if only I had a band so I could take this to the people. But I pushed it to the back of my head because I was done with that. So fast forward to March 9th of 2020. My wife and I are driving. I think we're getting ready to go out for dinner. And my phone rings, much like it's doing now. And it's Grant, whom I have not spoken to since November of 2019. And, it was a bitter ending. So there was some contention between us even. So I hadn't spoken to him, he hadn't spoken to me, but here he was calling, and I said to my wife, I said, "It's Grant. Uh, I guess I'll answer it." She goes, "Well, yeah, you should." I said, "I don't want to be in a band. If that's what he's calling for, I don't want to be in a band." She goes, "Well, if you do decide to be in a band, the only way that I'll be happy is if Grant is in the band." And I was like, "Okay, I've got my wife's endorsement. Not bad." So I answered the call, and Grant and I talked for, I don't know, a while. I don't know how long it was. But, like I said, he was extending the olive branch. Just called to see how I was doing. He offered an apology. I reciprocated. We worked out some minor details, some differences. And he asked, how's the band going or whatever else. I said, funny you should ask. The band's no more. And so the gear started turning, and we kind of mentioned, well, what if we put a band together and started from scratch? And this was on a Monday, and we agreed to meet up, I believe it was the very next day. So on a Tuesday, I drove down to Rockford, to Grant's, and we met up at his house, and we talked. And we worked out some other differences and kind of ironed out, what had happened with the previous band. And once we had that all settled and we decided we wanted to definitely put a new band together, I said to him, I would like, if we put a band together, one, that we keep this name that I've been using, which was Revelation Rain. I was using that on Bandmix, just so that it did look like solo artist stuff. It had a real band name, even though there was no band. I said, it's gained a lot of momentum and traction. I think we should keep it. He agreed. Two, I said, I want to do all originals. And he was more than happy to do that. It was kind of his idea as well. And I said, thirdly, I want for us to be a Christian rock band. I want for Christ to be at the center of this. I want to use our music and our songs to get the word out to people, try to get people saved, and if people are already saved, to edify them, to strengthen their faith. And he was all on board for that. So we had that foundation. And we said, whoever we bring into this band is going to have to adhere to those same three things. And we had kind of tacked on a couple other things too. We wanted to be visually oriented. We weren't going to show up on stage wearing blue jeans and, our work shirt or whatever else, or looking like we just rolled out of bed, or we're just a bunch of guys standing in line for a bus. That wasn't going to happen. We were going to look like a band. And so visually oriented, and we wanted to have a stage show. Grant and I, like I said, are both big Kiss fans, so that was huge. We wanted to have a theatrical production. Not Alice Cooper type theatrical production, but Kiss, namely Kiss. So we had those 5 pillars for our foundation, and anyone that came into the band would have to do the same thing. So that day, I think we may have jammed a couple of songs, and then we agreed that we would meet that Friday, which has always been our rehearsal day, and rehearse again. Well, that Friday was March 13th, and everybody knows that day. It's kind of like 9/11, the day that everything just shut down. The coronavirus and pandemic and whatever else. So that really put us on hiatus for about 2 or 3 months. But we used that time wisely. So we never did meet up on that Friday. But we decided that we would still work on things pertaining to Revelation Rain. Seeking out 2 other members, writing songs, getting the image together, working on the stage presentation, and just anything that we could do to help promote this band. That's what we were going to do. So that's what we did. And we would have these Zoom meetings, which was nice. That's something I miss, actually. The band now, we haven't done any Zoom meetings, and I think we should. I think that periodically, maybe once a week or something, the four of us need to get on Zoom. We accomplished a lot doing Zoom meetings. So anyway, fast forward to late May, early June, when things started to settle down, things were opening up. We met up again. I think Grant and I, had one more rehearsal, just the two of us. After that rehearsal, I'd gone on Band Mix, and that's when I found Marty. But I'm going to stop there because I don't want to go into that yet. When I get to the anniversary date of Marty and JT, which are very close to each other, then I'll make another video. But right now I just want to focus on my good buddy Grant, who is a great person, great friend, like a brother to me, phenomenal drummer, singer, and a songwriter, although he he doesn't yet realize it, but he is. He needs to tap into that potential. Grant, you need to tap into that. In fact, we're getting ready to record our next CD, and our first single off that is going to be "We Are the Night," and Grant has a co-write credit on that because a lot of those lyrics were his. He contributed those lyrics unknowingly, but they found their way into that song, so he deserves all the credit for that. And I think we'll be seeing his name on more songs as we progress. But anyway, if it wasn't for Grant calling me 1 year ago today, I would still be putting songs up on Band Mix and doing nothing more than that. It would just be songs on Band Mix that people could listen to. But thanks to Grant extending the olive branch and just wanting to mend broken fences, I got a great drummer, I got a great band, and I got a great friend, and I'm extremely blessed. This band is phenomenal. God has been good to us. I don't want to tell too much more of the story because that will come in the future, but just wanted to say thank you to Grant, and even though I'm not going to talk too much about JT and Marty until later on when I do videos for them, Grant and I are extremely blessed to have them in this band. They're both phenomenal musicians, great people, great songwriters, and they've contributed so much to Revelation Rain. Extremely blessed. So anyway, Grant, thank you, my brother, my buddy, my friend, to many more years, to many more records and live shows and everything that we have coming up right now. God is with us, and I just want to say thank you. Okay, one other thing. I decided I'm going to make this a little bit bigger than just the video I just recorded. So I'm going to put up some pictures and some other stuff that I think is kind of cool, kind of like a history type thing. So I'll probably make this a pretty lengthy video, which will have some pictures and some other stuff, and me just kind of talking over that kind of stuff. But there's something else I come across that I wanted to show you guys. I don't know if you can see this real well. This is our set list from a show we played at Aiden's Place on September 11th of 2020. Great stuff. I'm sure Grant probably has the set list for the very first show that we did, which was in July of 2020. Now keep in mind, like I said earlier, we finalized the lineup with Marty and JT mid-June, maybe? Mid to late June. And July 11th or something like that, I don't remember the exact date, was our first show at Aiden's Place in Sand Lake. And our first full show was like a week later at the same location. That's how fast we moved, and that speaks volumes for JT and Marty. They had to learn, I don't know, 20, 25 songs within a 3 week period at the most. And they did it, nailed it. So, anyway, this is a show that we did later on at Aiden's Place, September 11th of 2020. That was great. This is a show we did October 10 of 2020. This was in Hillsdale. This was with a few other bands, Sayosity, Hyper Tongue, a couple of other bands too. But that was a great show. We record all of our shows, but that one we recorded, and that one's actually going to be released at some point as a live DVD, because it turned out so well. The sound, the lighting, everything. And that was a magic set list too. Here's the set list from January 22, and I think this was also at, no, I was thinking Aiden's Place, but it's not. I think this is a live stream that we did on that day. Because here's one, February 11th of 2021, which is only about a month ago, when we played at Aiden's Place yet again in Sand Lake. Great stuff. So anyway, we have a show coming up this Friday at Hot Rocks in Warren. And then on Sunday the 14th, we're doing a showcase for Sharp Talent Productions, I think it is. A gal named Penny, who's been really great in helping us secure some shows, put this together for us. That'll be at the Music Box in Jackson. Looking forward to that. So I spoke earlier about how we recorded a CD. Mind you, we recorded that CD in August. So barely 2 months since JT and Marty had joined the band. And we went into a studio and knocked it out in 3 days. 3 days recording, 2 days of mixing. And the end result was phenomenal. Right here. Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. And it was surreal, to say the least, once the CDs had been printed and shipped to us, to just hold something like this. It was just kind of cool. You know, when you're growing up and you can't wait to be a rock star or whatever else. And I'm not putting us at that level just yet, but I am saying that, you know, some people dream of being a rock star. That was me. That was Grant. That was the guys in this band. And to be able to actually hold a CD with your picture on it and your songs on it was really cool. But it gets even better because we've had this CD printed to vinyl, and they're being shipped. We should have them by mid-April, I believe. That's going to be even better because as a kid, I grew up on vinyl, and I still love vinyl, always buying vinyl. But I have a huge collection of vinyl records, love it. And I always thought, you know, when I was holding my Quiet Riot records or my Kiss albums or my Stryper records, I always thought it'd be so cool to someday hold an album with me on it. And now it's going to happen. So anyway, just wanted to add that onto the video. And now, stay tuned because I'm going to put, like I said, some pictures up and some other stuff and kind of narrate over it. Again, all in honor of my good buddy Grant. All right, thank you. God bless, guys.
So this is a picture of me when Josh and I were actually in a different band, even before the band that we started with, Grant. I won't mention that name. I'll save that for another time. But that's Josh, same era. We were playing a bar near Reed City, I believe. And this was the precursor to the band that we would start with, Grant. This here is the name of that band that we started with Grant. By that time, we had changed the name, Josh and I had, to Last Asylum, and this was going to be an album cover or something. This is a rare photo. This is the actual photo of the day that Grant called me 1 year ago today. That's him, and there's me taking his phone call. Those are photos that have never been seen before. Here's Grant. This is a show that we did in Stanwood. and it was just three of us, Josh, myself, and Grant. And that show was not the greatest, but you live and you learn. Now, this is all four of us once we got a lead guitar player, and here we are playing at Little River Casino, a battle of the bands. That was a lot of fun. We did do originals, so that was cool. The stage was big, as you can see here. There was a good audience there. Again, we were under the Last Asylum moniker. That show went pretty well. Unfortunately, it just wasn't meant to be. So we did have, oh, here's another show. In fact, this is the last show that we ever did as Last Asylum. We were playing a show in Hersey with Devil Born and Bad Decisions. And after that show is when the band broke up. This is when Grant and I decided to put the band back together 1 year ago today when Grant called me. And this is actually a picture from Last Asylum. I just updated it and put the Revelation Rain logo on it. This here, same thing. Picture of Grant, actually a photo session we did when we were called Last Asylum. But I would just edit out, the former members and use these pictures until we had something new to work with. Here we go. Revelation Rain. This was the first photo session that we did once we had the completed lineup. So you've got JT, Grant, myself, and Marty moving left to right. Welcome to Revelation Rain. Another picture from that photo session. These photos turned out really good. We ended up using one of them for the back cover of our CD that we would put out later on. Here's one in color. I look tall, but that's only because I'm wearing platform boots. So that just shows you just how tall Marty is. Even in my boots, he's taller than I am. This is one of the first shows that we played out live. This is at Aiden's place in Sand Lake. This was a good show. It's pretty minimal as far as what we had for stage effects and the production, but we were new. We were still working on all of that, and it was going to take a while before we got to where we needed to be. But this was a fun show, and we're really tight, and we had a good audience there that night, and there were many more shows that would come after this, and each time we'd only get better. Here's Grant again from that first photo session. I don't want to give away too much because we're working on a DVD. It's going to have a live show and a bunch of a history package and backstage stuff and whatever else. So I don't want to give away too much, but you can consider this video kind of a precursor. Here's a picture I put together of Revelation Rain, but before we had done a photo session. So the picture of Grant and the picture of me is from the Last Asylum days. JT and Marty, those are pictures I went to their Facebook page and hijacked some photos and then put it together, and you can see we had a different background then. That's before we had an album cover. This would be our album cover that we would settle on, and our very first CD. We recorded this with Pete Bass at Soundfield Studio in Wyoming, Michigan. We recorded 3 days and mixed 2 days, and it turned out phenomenal. Great stuff. I think coming up next is a picture from, the most recent photo session we did not too long ago. Getting ready to use some of these for the next record, which will be coming out in April. So here we are, me and my buddy Grant. 1 year ago today, March 9, 2020, Grant reached out to me, and that was the impetus that led to Revelation Rain, what we have now. We have a great lineup. We have a record coming out in April. It's going to be called Day of the Lord. Anyway, I just want to say thank you again to my buddy Grant. Great guy, and I look forward to many more years, many more albums, and many more shows. Love you, brother.
know